We've had quite a lot on and off by inbox about the ego kicking back in.
Yeah, because I think you said you went through this. Is it like it's as if it's weird? I don't know if it's having a tantrum or it's just throwing absolutely everything at me. And if I'm at the point where I think yes, I'm observing it, but sometimes I find that when it does kick in, it's like it's right there at the front, and I think, oh, sometimes it takes a while to observe it. It's hard to describe. Sometimes it's like I must be identifying with it sometimes, automatically without realizing. And then I think, hang on a minute, why am I feeling fearful? Why am I doing this? And then I think, oh, the ego's in the front seat again. Hang on a minute, let's try and observe it. And sometimes I've noticed when I am trying to observe it, it's right here, and then all of a sudden it's over there. So I'm like, oh, at first it must be a bit of a struggle going on, maybe. But I believe is that just normal? I think
It's just normal.
Yeah.
What I wanted you to do for me is just really just pour it out. What's happening?
Yeah.
Every detail. What happens? Maybe a situation. You don't have to tell me anything too personal, but just talk and just tell me, what do you experience in this back and forth? What seems like a back and forth thing. Just sort of.
Well,
I
was going to say, if you got the next 5 hours free, I'm
only kidding.
It won't take that long. It won't, honestly, she says. I think the main thing is it feels for some reason a little bit like a Jekyll and Hyde at the moment. That's how I'm describing it, because I'm thinking I'm either like the observer and the watcher, or the ego's fully here and like right here, and there's no distance, and I'm getting all caught up in it. But it's literally throwing absolutely anything it can at me. A lot of it is memories, a lot of like memories of being anxious, and I was really anxious all the time, or any fearful memories, which could be anything from going to the dentist to the anxiety, and it'll be a lot of memories. And I think, hang on a minute, don't jump on the memories, just watch them. So I do feel at the moment as if it's really given me some sort of real like test.
Jip. Giving you a load of jip.
But then at the same time, when it's not like that, I feel very, very calm, and a lot calmer than I used to. So I find it's a bit like heaven and hell at the moment. That's just how I can describe it. It's either when I'm observing and the true self appears. Like, I know it's hard to describe that, or you just end up like, oh, true self. Like, that feels very calm and almost like very grown up as well, and quite calm and mature, and hang on a minute, there's nothing to freak out about, very grounding. And then the next thing, it's like ego, and it's like, oh my God. So yeah, with you saying pouring everything out, I think a lot of it is the kind of the fear of of feeling anxious itself, which when it was really bad, I really didn't like it, and I was afraid of that. So a lot of memories, sometimes anxiety symptoms will creep in a little bit, or if they don't, it's the worry of the symptoms. So I suppose a lot of it is worry, but on different levels. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I can even be doing something, and then this random memory will just come in from like years ago, but obviously something that's not good, something quite fearful. And I think, whoa, where's that come from? I've not even been thinking about that.
Does that seem, that bit where the memories are coming in and stuff, does that seem different than what you've experienced in the past? Stronger? Anything, are you noticing it more? Is it stronger? Did you not used to have that?
I did used to have that a lot of with the anxiety with me was very, very high worry on all different levels. It'd be like low level, but a lot of it was worrying about feeling anxious and about the anxiety itself. On all different levels.
So the memories that are coming are they memories of your anxiety, or a mixture of that and perhaps sort of anything from mistakes that you might have made, guilt, anything like that?
Yes, they're a mixture. They are definitely a mixture. It's as if like having a filing cabinet, and I feel like how can I describe it? As if it's going back and thinking, oh, hang on, let's pull this old file out and have a look at this. And it could be something that's not even related to what I've been doing, or something I've not even been thinking about. So it must just be like, I don't know, my memory banks or something, or old memories creeping up. But I find with this, though, that has happened for quite a while with me. But it was a heck of a lot worse when I was very anxious all the time. It was a lot of kind of future worrying, or worrying about things that had happened in the past happening again. So, because I find that with anxiety, it can be very like in the past or the future, can't it? It's like worrying about the past or worrying about the future and not really being in the now.
Well, if you're worrying or stressing over past, that's more what would be described as depression.
Oh, okay.
If it's the future, right, it's anxiety. Yeah. Now, they're obviously just labels.
Yeah.
But what comes from the past thinking is a condensed energy. What comes from future worries is like a fear.
Yes, it is that more of a feeling, to be honest. And I think it must just be the way it's bringing it back up. A lot of it, I think, is the fearful and worrying about the future, but it's kind of, this has happened before, this could happen again in the future. So it's kind of bringing a memory from the past right to the forefront, but with a lot of fear and a lot of kind of fear of it happening again. But to be honest, it's not the level that it used to be, but it's still enough that I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I do feel there's a bit of a tug of war going on at the moment. And then other days I've just been completely calm and it's not really bothered me at all. So it's been like the calm before the storm. So it's a real roller coaster at the moment. It's like 1 minute I'm like, oh yeah, nothing will ever bother me ever again. You feel like you're going to be there forever, don't you? You know what I mean? It's like, I've got the key to the secret garden. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to stay in it forever. Do what you want. You're never going to bother me. Bring it on. And then the next day I'll wake up and it'll be as soon as I wake up and it's this and this, and I'm like, whoa, a minute. So yeah, it's a real roller coaster at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Right. So let me talk to all that then. So at one point then you mentioned it's like a maturity when you're in that piece, right? There's like a growing up. Now, when we look at life from the human perspective, you have this child who goes through all these stages and then you start maturing into adulthood. Now, actually, true maturity is the spiritual journey.
So, right.
You will mature into the natural essence of who you are, and it does feel like a growing up. Even though you're going back to this natural state, which is quite childlike, there is this maturing where you're almost, the maturity feels like, usually I would freak out about that. The not freaking out, the piece is a very grown up type feeling, a grown up type sort of, so that's the maturing into the true self. So that's a really good thing that you've recognized that it's that growing up thing. Let me see. So it was just that I wanted to really delve into this because I know it bothers you quite a bit. There kind of has to be this knowing that you are going to experience what looks like an up and down journey, right? And it gets to a point where when situations, feelings and thoughts are not favorable, you don't care anyway.
Yeah.
Because like I say, we're all deepening into this. And the more that you're becoming aware of the observer, which is the true self, the observer of all experience, the more that you're becoming more aware of that, you will still, this body will still have times that are not favorable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that might be a thought, a feeling, a situation, but it gets to the point where you're all right with it not being favorable.
Yes, because I think sometimes as well that I'm finding it a lot easier to deal with, but there is sometimes where I jump straight into like reacting to it, because it'll come in very fast, and it's like I feel like I'm holding my breath and tensing myself at first, like a bit of a surprise coming, like something jumping out at you, but I'm automatically reacting to it. And then when I step back, I think, hang on a minute, this is the ego coming straight in, and you've jumped straight in with the ego, and it's right at the forefront, and it feels like there's no distance with it, it's just right here. But I used to do that all the time, so it's not happening as often.
So you're on this unlearning journey, and I know you know this, but I like to just say what I think parts of it you might already know anyway, but it's good to hear it because it's like a reminder, and it's sort of like gives you more trust in what you already know type thing. So you are on this unlearning journey, you're recognizing that actually you are better dealing with what's coming up, right? So let's sort of look at this. The ego's here, and then the true self's here. They're both there constantly, right? The only thing that's happening is that you're focused on one or the other, right?
Yes.
When you think, oh, the true self's here, oh, the ego's kicked in, right? It's literally where your focus is at that moment. Now you can't force out of that, right? Just to be clear, you can't think, oh, the ego's here, that means I'm focusing on the ego. I know the true self's here, so let's focus on the true self. You can't force that, right? All you can do is, you know that they're both there, right? You know that for a fact. You trust in it, even if you're like, is that true? You trust in it, one, because you've seen that, and two, because I'm telling you. So they're both there constantly, right? So what's happening with this flip-flopping is literally where the attention is focused, right?
Yes.
And it's dead easy to sort of flick between the two. The more that you're practicing the meditations, having these calls and everything, you're starting to become more aware of the one that's watching.
Yes.
Right? Well, the one that is, let's say, invisible, the infinite awareness, the no thing that's observing what you can actually see, which is the body, right? So ego is the body and mind. So ego is this, and the thoughts that are going along with it, and then the thoughts create a feeling in the body, right? That never goes anywhere.
No, that's true.
Right? The awareness of it never goes anywhere. Now, how to know for a fact that the awareness doesn't go anywhere is because you would not be able to report that you know that the ego's freaking out. The ego's right, because who can see that? If the awareness wasn't seeing it, you wouldn't be able to report it. The fact that you're reporting that the ego, the thoughts, the freaking out, and all that, it's being reported by the one who's seeing it.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And the words are just sort of coming out from the body that are reflecting the one who can see it, right? Now, what's happening is the ego is then trying to find the awareness, the true self, whatever you want to call it. You call it true self, right? So the ego is trying to find the true self, and it can't. It can never, ever, ever find it, ever, because the only one, and right, so let me just unpack that a little bit. The ego can never find it. This body, this mind, these eyes can never, ever find the true self, right? The only way that true self is seen is by recognizing itself. So it becomes aware of itself, right? So true self is observing this body, right? And then on the awakening or self-realization process, we start to recognize the watcher, right? And in very, very deep scenes of it, we're like, oh my God, it's always been here. Oh my God, it was here all along, right? Because it can't go, it can never go anywhere, ever. You're asleep, you're in the highest of panic and anxiety, the lowest of lows, whatever situation you're in, true self is there, always, 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 always. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to report anything that's going on. Ego,
that's true.
Ego will try, one, to find the awareness, which it can't, and two, to recreate it, pretending that it is it. Right?
Yeah.
So when there's a freak out going on, when there's anxiety, when there's guilt thoughts, when there's blah, 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 and you cannot see the woods for the trees because you're like, oh my God, ego's here now, true self's gone away, right? That's kind of what it feels like. And
it does feel like that, yeah.
It feels like you're completely consumed in ego and you're waiting for true self to come back, yeah?
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do in that is, one, trust that true self is the one that's watching it all and never, ever can go away. And two, completely open to it. Now, you're not looking for true self to do that. You're not, because if you're looking for true self to do that, it's ego that's looking. So the only thing you can do, right, so you'll be like, right, where's true self, where's true self, where's true self? With these eyes and this body, right? True self's not looking through these eyes or this body. True self is looking at this body and mind and eyes and everything else and everything around it, right? So the only thing that you can do when it seems like true self's gone away, even though we know it's not, but it feels like it's very much in that moment, right, that you've lost it, the only thing that you can do is nothing, which means literally opening up the body like you don't care. So there's like, when you say my body gets constricted and I'm holding on and you know what I mean? Yeah. Do the opposite. Completely. Don't care. This, I'm freaking out, which is not the I, because it's ego that's freaking out. So when you say I'm freaking out, true self isn't. True self's just watching it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So when this constriction comes in, no forcing at all, but it's all right. If I can let go a little bit, I will do. If I can't, it's all right, because true self is not holding on to anything. True self is peace, love, grace, just watching all this ego trying to fight out of something that it can't get out of. Right, which is why I've created Rest in the Mess, and I really need to do another one that's longer, but that's why I've created that, because basically ego's like, right, I want it back, I want that peace back, I want that peace back. It's never going to find it, and it's never going to find it because it's already there. So it's looking for something like, where is it? And it's completely missing the point that actually it's there watching all the ego freaking out. So what happens is, the more you're going through this process, and obviously you're getting more and more deep into it, I can tell that.
Yeah.
Even when you're having a complete freak out, and you know that it's better than what it was. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So what, let me think what I was going to say. So where it gets to, the deeper you go into this, and we always say the same thing, it can't be forced, but it's good to know how it unfolds and what it looks like. So what happens is, we're looking to get rid of the thoughts and feelings that we don't like, the situations that are unfavorable. People believe often that enlightenment or self-realization or true awakening is going to rid us of a shitty life circumstance, situations, thoughts and feelings, right?
Yeah.
What it's going to do, and where it's leading you to, is that doesn't go anywhere, but you're aware of true self at all times, right? So the true self, the awareness, is watching all that going on, right?
Yeah.
And it's still going on, because if you're looking to change ego or the mind, it's never going to happen. Now, in that observing presence, what happens is, because true self is watching it and you're aware, you become more aware of true self, right? So you might see it, say you see it for 5 minutes, and then you've got a day of ego, and then you've got a holiday, like a weekend of, oh, I feel like I'm in true self, and then ego kicks in, right? The awareness grows deeper, only because it's not changing or anything, and it's not coming in, nothing's changing. It's just the fact that the noticing of it becomes more on the noticing side of the true self.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Because we've been conditioned to notice the ego. Yeah.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
So when someone awakens or self-realizes or whatever, it's simply a shift in the noticing, right? So they go, right, I notice from that space that's always been here, right? And then we can go into this, I've lost it, I've found it, I've lost it, I've found it. And it's literally because you're just unlearning that egoic pattern of noticing the ego more, being focused on this body mind that you believed was always just you, right?
Yes.
So that's the process you're going on. Now, where it leads you to eventually, and it can't be forced, and you know that, but I always reiterate, right?
Yeah.
Where it leads to eventually is the awareness is watching absolutely everything all at once. So it's the ego, the awareness the awareness is there constantly, watching what's going on in the mind and the body, and without it sounding like I'm dismissing something, it can become quite humorous, because it'll see the freak out that the ego's having.
Yeah.
Right? It's not always humorous, but sometimes like, like the true self is watching all this freaking out and the ego trying to find it and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Or what generally happens is, so say, I don't know, say I'm going shopping. So Jolene's going shopping, and somebody bumps into me and I get a little bit annoyed about that. That's all just being observed. So a feeling might come up in the body and a thought might come up about this person, and it simply just passes over, because the awareness is just constantly watching it all the time, and it knows what it is. It knows that it's this human experience that's playing out, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean you become a doormat and somebody will bump into you and you go, well, it's just a human. Sometimes you might have to say, excuse me, do you mind not doing that? Or do you know what I mean? Anything.
Yeah.
You might have to do that, but what it doesn't become is a what's the word? It doesn't become about you. It doesn't become personal.
Yes.
Because there's nothing personal in it. It's just you going through the flow of life. So the personal side of it just falls away. So you might have to remind this other person, that's not very nice what you've just done. Do you mind not doing that? Just an example. But it doesn't become like, I've been attacked. You know what I mean? Because you're not this. You have this, and it's doing this human life thing, but you're not this, because you are the awareness of that is watching this life play out, this play of life going along. So it's that utter complete trust. When you wake up and you're having a freak out and you're like, oh, true self's gone and ego's here. I wish the ego wasn't here, and I wish true self was here, and I can't wait for that to come back. What if it doesn't come back? What if that didn't even exist? What if that was a load of rubbish? What if I'm just, what if I'm going a bit doolally? What if I'm a bit crazy? It's the complete and utter not believing ego, right? Opening the body to allow all that freaking out to go on. So it's not like, you might feel like I need to put my shoulders down and constrict myself, and it's literally like an airy feeling, like a opening up, like, come in. I'm not, I'm just carrying on with my day.
Is it like welcoming in it instead of kind of resisting it? As if like, come on then.
There's a poem, I think it's by Rumi, and it's called The Guest House, and it's a fantastic poem, and it's about the fact that, imagine yourself as a guest house, and these people are coming to visit, and you have to let them in because they want to stay in a room, and they're a bit rude, and this one's a bit noisy, and this one's a bit annoying, but you know that they're going to check out. So you let them in.
I see.
Welcome them into the guest house. There's your room. You can stay for however long you want, but you know that they're going to move out eventually. Or do you allow that guest to come in and be like, oh, God, they're annoying. Right? So it is like exactly like you've just said. It's a welcoming. And it's not favorable and it's not nice, but you know what? That welcoming presence, if you can, if you can get it right, it's like touching a sweet spot. if you are completely open to it, which again the ego will try and take credit for, because the ego will try and say, yeah, I'm open and welcome into this, but it's ego that's resisting it, right?
Oh, no way.
You kind of get to this Pandora's box, this through the, you know, the magic wardrobe or whatever, where it's like opening the magic wardrobe and you're like, oh, and everything comes in and it kind of sort of, it just flows out because it's welcomed, right? So the welcoming brings it through and dissolves it. Now, does that all make sense up to now?
It does completely. Yeah, it does. So, thank you. Yeah.
The other thing that I was going to say was about these guilt feelings, these past, whatever the past stuff is coming up. Yeah. For example, when I used to have the most horrendous panic attacks, I mean, I was all over the anxiety groups, like, help, you know, I was awful.
Yeah.
Right. So when I was going through my process, I would get this. I need to hold on to myself, because what if I have another breakdown? What if I have another panic attack? Right.
Yeah.
And it had to get to the point of this complete and utter, felt like a psychotic trust. Literally, like, I'm going to throw myself off this building and I know I'm going to land on a trampoline, not a concrete floor, right?
Yeah.
And the fear feelings just like whoosh, you know what I mean? Like they really the body wants to constrict against this because it feels horrible and you want to hold on tight.
Yes.
You literally have to like really open up to it, allow it. And that's why it can happen to some people where the pain and the suffering has been that bad that there's a complete collapse, because the suffering is so bad that it's either carry on suffering or completely let go of it all, right? That has happened to some people. Now, it doesn't happen to the majority of us, so we have to go through the process, which is why Rest in the Mess and the meditations give you a sense of it, over and over and over and over and over. And you might go backwards, you might go forward, you might resist.
Yes.
But the more that you trust in that letting go in a safe space of those meditations, it's going to grow and deepen, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's literally what happens is, and I'm not expecting this to happen overnight, but it's just so that you've got a sense of where you're going, so you know you're on the right track when you feel these things. So it gets to a point of, I'm completely alone. There's no one going to help me. There's nothing going to change this situation. So I'm just, it's just a complete giving up. And in that giving up, everything turns on its head. Everything turns on its head. And because nothing can harm you. You've gone through all the fear of death, anything, breakups of relationships, anybody leaving you. Doesn't mean that it might not pop up a bit, right? But the more that you're allowing it, you kind of get to a point where there's just a sense of peace, whatever situation you're in, because nothing can harm you. Nothing can take away the fact that you are this awareness that's watching it all happening, because the awareness awareness is completely untouched, unmoved, unblemished, peace, love, joy, infinite, never going to go away, never going to die, energy.
Yeah.
And that's what the process is taking you through. So the reason I've gone that deep into it, because you could go, well, I'm not there yet, I'm not, I want that, I'm not there, or what if I don't get that? It's to say to you that when it doesn't feel good, when it feels like ego is all consuming, have complete and utter trust, because nothing else matters. Nothing. There's nothing more important. Like, not your kids, not your husband, not your money, not your job. Nothing is more important than this. Than this work. So when it comes up, it's like, and you just, this consuming emotion, fear, head rushed, can't tell the woods for the trees, don't feel like the true self's here, I feel like I'm completely consumed in ego. All these thoughts like guilt and feelings and past situations are trying to grab my bloody attention. Can you still see me? But and it will try anything, right? If you get triggered by, say your hubby really triggers you one day and you think, I need to go with this feeling because it's really dragging at me. It's really pulling me, this one. And you think, no, I really need to bite, or I need to get scared, and you still trust through that. Nothing,
definitely.
Nothing can. Once you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it, it becomes so much easier, and it becomes like you can't not do it eventually. Did that go funny then?
A little bit, yes. Just a bit.
You can't not do it eventually, right? And you're not looking for, if you wake up one morning and ego's there, or what you believe is ego's there and true self's gone away, which we now know is not true, even though it really looks like it, right? You're not looking for that to go away. If I wake up one morning and it's all gone, then I'm self-realized. You're not looking for that to go away. What you're looking for is that it's here and you're allowing it. And if you're not allowing it, being all right that you've not allowed it, it's that, do you know what I mean? So if you wake up one morning and you're like, right, I'm all consumed with this fear and this stuff, and I'm going to allow it now, but I can't allow it because it's really awful and it's pulling at me and I've really bitten. There's no giving yourself a hard time over it. It's just, you're just in practice. It's always practice. Practice. You know, if you fall off the horse, you get back on it. And eventually that practice spills over into, it becomes more of your time, that you're in that space of awareness before you know it. You're allowing that. All you're doing is practicing, right? And you allow the peace to come to you. You're not looking for peace. If you're going out there looking for peace, you're going to miss it. Right? You're allowing the peace to come to you. All you're doing is just being a witness to everything. When I mean witness, I don't mean like, right, I'm sat here, I'm going to watch stuff. It's an openness. It's a whole body experience. My stomach's churning, my chest is tight, and it sounds like, well, that's, to some people that would sound a bit arrogant, but but it literally is like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's all right if you have a freak out. Do you know what I mean? If you have a really bad day and you're like so anxious, in tears and stuff like that, it's all right to look after yourself. You know, it's not one of them like, oh, you know, I should just fall apart. And, you know, it's all right to take a step back and think, you know what, I need to just have a good cry and you know, whatever. It's all right to look after yourself, but it's still that allowing. There's never any giving yourself a hard time, ever, never ever giving yourself a hard time through it.
No.
If you do give yourself a hard time, you're all right with that. You know what I mean? It's all right. It's okay. I've given myself a hard time, but you know, bloody hell, I've been through a lot. This body's been through a lot in life. So no wonder it's going to freak out sometimes. Yeah. And I'm going through this process, which is, you know, a lot of people go through this whole life and never touch upon this. How brave is it? How brave is it that we are the ones, because every single person on this planet is being pulled to this. But the fear of it, so a lot of people get to their deathbed and they've never, ever touched upon it, because things will pull them to it. It's not just me and you that's had this special experience. Everybody has had it. Now, it takes a lot of guts to go, do you know what? I am sick of the suffering. I'm sick of what I've been through, and I am going to do what it bloody takes. Yeah. Which is, and it can be very scary. It can, you know, so if, you know, if you're having a bad time, give yourself a break. You know, it's like, let yourself off the hook. I'm having a bad time because I'm unlearning all this lifelong conditioning, and it's not just from your parents and your teachers, it's from their parents, their teachers, your grandparents, their great grandparents. It's all been passed down. Because whatever your mum and dad have got in them, or whoever brought you up or whatever they've got, they've been passed on by somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. All this stuff that you've got to unlearn. And like you said before, there's a past memory will come up, or something that will really try and drag you back. One, it knows now that you're aware, and it will never give you what you can't handle, right? It'll never give you what you cannot handle. It's all, you know, you might get something come up, and then you'll have a bit of a break, something else will come up. It's all divinely orchestrated, right? But we can make it easier on ourselves through the meditations and doing what you're doing by talking to me, right? So when something is coming up to be seen, it's a welcome gift. It feels awful, right? Seeing it as a welcome gift, because in seeing it, a lot of these things have been unconscious. We don't need to go delving into our childhood to find out what rubbish we went through that we've forgotten, right? We don't need to do that. It's going to come to us when the time's right. It's going to come to us when the time's right. Now, that might look very messy and inconvenient. Can you hear me? Sorry, it keeps going funny, doesn't it?
Yes, I can hear you.
So it might look messy, and it might look inconvenient, and it might look like, you know, why today of all days when I wanted to get stuff done, or
exactly.
It doesn't care when it's happening, because this is the most important thing that's happening.
Because it will just come in at random times, and you're just like, what? I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah.
And have you noticed you're not creating that? It's just, it comes to you. So it's
it just pops in.
So it's like, okay, I want to be seen now. And we can either go, I'm going to dismiss you, I'm going to drink you away, I'm going to shop you away, I'm going to addict you away, I'm going to be dead fast in my lifestyle and whatever. I mean, none of them things are bad things, but we can become consumed in them, can't we? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So are you either going to do that for them to pop up again even worse, or are we going to face them now? And that's why the meditations and the group and talking on calls like this are the safe way to face this stuff. And in doing that, you know that when you're on your own, eventually you feel more apt, able, safe to do it, to allow it to come up. Yeah. And I know I repeat myself all the time, but the repetition it's just vital, because the stuff that we've learned
very much
throughout our lives, the stuff that we've learned throughout our lives is repetition. I mean, how many times
definitely.
How many times did your parents tell you the same thing over and over again when you look back?
Oh, loads. Yeah.
So that's like it's training. So we're unlearning. Yeah. We're unlearning. And that takes repetition in itself.
Of course it does, because like you say, it's like trying to unlearn like a whole lifetime of conditioning as well, isn't it? Like you said. Yeah, very much. So just kind of like wanted to go into that because I know you struggle with it, but the crux of it, let's get really down to basics, is that when it comes in, it's a complete and utter trust, right? I can't see the woods for the trees. I can't see the woods for the trees. But you know what? I think what happened with me was it was one of these, like I very similar to what you talk about, where you're like, am I going a bit doolally? Am I going a bit crazy? Is this even real? Do you know what I mean? Right? I thought to myself, you know what? When it kept coming up and it was causing like emotional disturbance, and I thought, it what kind of happened was, it was almost like well, do you know what? Kind of, even if it's not real, I prefer it over there. It's a nicer place to be, isn't it?
I knew it was real, like there was a big trust there, but in doing that, it just kind of like, it just sort of dissolved into and now at the space that I'm in, it doesn't make sense that we're just this human being with all this struggle. That so true. It went the opposite way, where before I was just a human being who had difficult emotions and thoughts and mental health issues, and this awareness thing that had happened, that I'd seen a few times, no, that can't be real. And it did a 180 where I don't believe in the other side now. I'm the awareness, not Jolene, but the awareness is who I am, and nothing else makes sense. So believing in the body and believing in the emotion and believing in the thoughts, just it's like us going to somebody who is completely consumed by ego and telling them, actually you're the awareness. They'd be like, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, definitely.
So that's it. It's just that opening up into it. Do you know what I mean? It's that.
Yes. Yeah.
So you going back to what you said about the growing up. Yeah. You think I've grown up now.
Yeah.
When you get into this, you realize actually I'm still bloody child, and I'm growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just laughing because it was only I only noticed this recently as well, when I was like, wow, I find that when it is the true self, it just feels like, I think it's the calmness and the grounding as well, and you think, wow, this is a very grown up feeling at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I've noticed with the ego feels very much like a child.
Yeah. Like immature.
And I found, yes, very much, but as if it's a child needing a parent.
Yeah.
So when you said before about it's coming up because it needs to be seen, and it's trying to find the true self, I found that so interesting, because I thought, yes, when because like you say, even though I say it just appears, it's just because your focus is there, isn't it? So it feels like it just appears. But when it is, say, the ego, and you think, wow, but that makes me feel like I'm a small child and I don't quite know what to do, and I'm looking for an adult, and I need this adult, and then I'm thinking, but I am an adult. And this, what used to really throw me when I was really anxious all the time, was that I'd be constantly needing reassurance off another adult. And I'm thinking, I don't get this. I'm an adult. Why am I looking for another adult? And I was always looking for something and never really finding it. Brilliant. And trying all these different things. But now when you said that, because you can never really find it, can you? Because you are the adult at the same time, but you're in the child. I don't. It's very hard to explain it, but
let me just pick up on something there then. So what you were saying then is like, so the ego's like immature, the child, let's say, right? But it's in fear. So when a child's in fear, you work with kids, right? So you've got, kids that have been traumatized, and they try and they act out, don't they?
Yeah.
They act out. And the ego is doing that. And actually all it wants is to be loved. And by allowing it in, that's what you're doing. And actually, once you see the ego for what it is, for what it truly, truly is, the love that comes for it is just beyond belief. And it calms down. Honestly, it's like a kid that now feels safe and secure, and nothing, like, I understand completely what you're saying. I was the same. I mean, I literally wanted somebody to wrap me in a blanket and look after me when I was in panic attacks, right? I just wanted somebody. I even thought, do you know what? I'd just go and live in a hospital. And be loved, But
I can relate to that, because I've been there, and other people might not get that if you've not been there. But that's how you feel.
It is awful, absolutely awful to experience. But in that experience of it, is the only way really to truly sit. It's like, that's what we're always like, right? Everybody's like that. Everybody.
Yeah.
But it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger to get your attention and to show you what you're doing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you might look at somebody who's a big strapping businessman who, drives a flash car and he's got loads of money and he's company director. His inner child is screaming, but he has to put this big bravado on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't get a grip of that, not saying like 100% like this is going to happen to him, whoever he is, but if you don't get a grip of that, it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger to show yourself what it is. And that's what happened to us.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
So that, that this learning, what we're talking about, you can't go and find it. It's got to be explored, hasn't it? It's got to be spoken about. Like
definitely.
this. And then it's like, light bulb moment. Yeah. So that growing up. So what happens is the ego. The ego is seen from the awareness, and the awareness is very childlike. Let's think of this: a child, right, that has been brought up where this complete security. I mean, there's no child on this planet that's got the perfect life, is there? Or they, you know, not had some sort of trauma, even if it's tiny.
Yeah.
But imagine the most secure, attached child, they're light and free, and they don't have fear, and they'll go off and maybe say to a stranger, hello, or do you know what I mean? They're that type of, aren't they? That's what it feels like. That's where it gets you to this process, because that child changes from this fear-based energy to this light, enjoyable life, right? And but there's a grown-up presence with it. It's all an integration. So it's all an integration and balancing everything out that's out of balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because obviously, like that growing up, actually, the true grown-up is childlike and loving. You might get you might get the strong businesswoman or businessman who's very tough and, you know, very this, very that, and quite stern and quite mean. I'm talking about the inner sort of dimensions of them, and you think, oh, they're really grown up, they're really tough. Actually, the most grown up person is the one who's the most loving and peaceful and pleasant, and, you know, do you know what I mean? I mean from inside. I don't mean that you go around like, you know, if I'm not nice to people, I'm not self-realized. It's this sort of open maturity from the inside, which also has a childlike quality to it. It makes sense.
It does. Is it like a kind of real sense of kind of contentment and feeling secure, but as if quite light at the same time? So it's not, even though it's calming, it's not as if like, oh, I'm just so calm, I can't be bothered to do anything. It's like very much, it's grounding, but there is the element of kind of fun with it as well, and being light, as if kind of having a sense of freedom. I think maybe.
Exactly. And it's not going to be linear, so you might experience a bit of that, and something might come up and throw you off. Nothing's gone wrong. It's the path is as it's meant to be, right? So when you wake up in the morning, or when you feel like, let's change our speech. So you say, when the ego's here, or when the true self's here, when I'm aware, when I'm more focused on ego, when I'm more focused on ego, or when I'm more focused on true self, right? Or the awareness, because if we say awareness, it sort of reminds us that it's this awareness. So when that comes up, it's just not believing it. I just don't believe you. You're freaking out, and it doesn't feel nice, and it's not favorable, and it's not pleasant. But I'm not looking.
No, it never is pleasant, is it?
No, it's not. But it's literally like not trusting that. It's just like, okay, you can come in. I don't trust that, you know, this is who I am. And just, it's one of them. And it, you know, and I know that can sound really flippant and whatever, but it's just practicing that. You know,
so is that the stage that you say you've kind of got to now, that sometimes it, you know, things will try and creep in, but it's like you see it right away, and you're like, okay, come on then, but I'm not gonna believe. What
happened with me, obviously I've had some very deep and profound scenes of my true nature, like off the scale, and I know you have as well. But the other thing was a very, very committed meditation practice. So it gave me that safety. So if a fear was coming up, Like I wrote a post before about when Lee was meditating a few weeks ago, and he wanted to jump out of his chair and run away because something big was coming up, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, I just don't want to do this meditation, and he stopped his meditation. Now that's fine, it's fine. It will come back again when he needs to, but having this deep commitment in meditation, little bits will come up and you're dissolving and trusting. And because I had a deep daily meditation practice, a dedicated one, it gave me the confidence to, when it came up in my daily life, I'll be all right, because I know I'll be all right, because I've done it in the safety of my own home. I've allowed this, I've allowed myself to be completely consumed with this feeling before, and I've been all right. So and it gets to the point where it makes no sense to resist. It makes absolutely no sense to resist, you know. Going back
because that just makes it worse, doesn't it? And you can't see that at the time, but you think you're just making it 100 million times worse. Really. But
I always reiterate the same stuff all the time. If you do resist, don't give yourself a hard time over it. But
no.
What everything we've been speaking about is in practice in the meditation. So when you practice the meditations, this is training, or everything that I'm talking about in the allowance. So Does that help? Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm kind of like this because I think I always find as well. I mean, I'm just laughing because it really blows my mind at the same time. So when I go quiet like this, it's because I'm just like, it's kind of going in, but you're just like, when you say it, it makes absolute perfect sense. Do you know what I mean?
It makes sense because it makes sense because you already know this stuff, and everyone I speak to already knows it. And the reason you know it is it's because it's your true nature, and it's been covered over with the conditioning. So when you hear it again, like it resonates because it's your true nature. So you already know it. It's just forgotten. So I'm here just to remind you again, which is why I always say I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just a reminder, really.
And I think what I've realized now with obviously, because I'm finding that like that I am in the true self more, you know, obviously slowly but surely, and I get that. I don't want to rush it and I don't want to force it. But when I look back now, I think, oh wow, I can remember feeling like this as a kid, but I didn't know it. I didn't realize. I just felt completely at home. And didn't know it. And then sometimes I would be an ego because I'd be a bit fearful. But I remember like feeling like this as a kid for no reason. Like, you know, I just feel amazing, but didn't really know why. It's just like, I'm just in the zone, like, you know, and I was like, wow, I didn't see it.
In that, you didn't need anything, did you? You wasn't looking for anything, you didn't need anything.
No.
I think, I don't know if you've seen my quote, and it says, one of them, it says, a heart full of love knows nothing and needs nothing, because you didn't know why you felt like that. You didn't need anything else.
I couldn't tell you.
No.
It's
just
I couldn't tell you what caused it. It was just like,
And one I do want to look back like, now. People will say to me like, can you describe it? And and the only thing I can say is it just is. It just is. And the mind tries to get it all the time. Now, what happens is we you know, the mind's never going to get it. We know that. But if the mind's trying to get it, we can't stop it. So all right, well, the mind's trying to get it, so just let it do its thing, because it'll stop eventually.
That's so true. Because I found it really interesting as well, even though with the witnessing it, it's like obviously you witness it, but it's not like you're looking at it through your eyes. It's really hard to describe it, you know, with the witnessing. And I've always, I don't know, it's like it wants to be seen, but it's just really weird to describe about how you see it, but it's like you see it with your whole body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not like you're looking at it through your eyes.
Yeah, that's it. It's it's a sensing, it's a openness, it's an awareness, it's vast, it's infinite. It's infinite.
Yeah. Because I found with that, like with grasping that, because obviously not trying to force that, but I remember when it, I think I joined a call with, can't believe I'm going to get his name wrong again, that Philip. I keep calling him wrong, I don't know why. I nearly called him Peter.
Everyone does
it.
Everyone gets his name wrong. It's so funny.
The other day, and I was like, I didn't even know I was doing it. But there was something about the witnessing, and then we're witnessing, you always think, well, that means looking with your eyes. Because you always think witness, it's got to be seen, but it's weird. It's like, especially recently, it's like I feel as if I'm seeing it, but with my entire
being,
I don't know, body, being, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but it's like I can see it, but I'm not looking at it with my eyes right now, but I can see it. So that's very, I think unless you've experienced that. Yeah.
So what the word that came to me when I had the deep seeing was infinite consciousness. Yeah, that's the true self, infinite consciousness. Yeah. When Philip had it, his was infinite silence.
Oh,
so they both make sense. So people will come on the group, especially with infinite silence, I think, and say, infinite silence, what's that?
Yeah.
Right? And you probably tried on yourself. But now that you're you've just described that to me, does it make sense? Infinite consciousness.
It does.
Silence. Because there's no sound in it. There's no, it's just the silent witness.
Yes, and I think it's the peaceful side of it, because I always thought silence. I remember when I had my first kind of awareness with it, and I was like, oh my word, it freaked out a bit, because I was like, everything feels very like it was black, but not everything went black, but not black in this space, but very, very quiet. And I just freaked out because I felt like I'd lost everything. Obviously, it was the ego freaking out, thinking you've lost your identity. Like, what's going on? There's nothing here. But now when I think about it, I think silence is being peace and calm. Like, that doesn't freak me out, but that's what it means to me. But I suppose it's what it means to everybody, doesn't it? It's how everybody describes it themselves. So it can have all different words. But now silence doesn't freak me out, whereas in the beginning it did, because I took silence to think, for me, that nothing existed, including me. Even I disappeared.
So let's look at this just for a minute.
Yeah.
Right. The awareness. Become aware of the awareness, yeah? Become aware of the awareness. Yeah?
Yes.
That awareness can see Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in that awareness seeing Kate has thoughts and feelings going on.
Yes.
That awareness is you. Kate is what you're using to experience this life as a human being. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening with the meditations, is practicing that over and over. And basically what it is that shift in, am I Kate?
Yeah.
Am I the awareness of Kate?
Yeah.
Am I Kate?
Yeah.
Am I the awareness of Kate? And it doesn't matter if you're consumed in one or the other, because you know that you've got to be the awareness, because you wouldn't be able to see Kate doing her thing.
Yeah.
Now, when you're looking from the awareness,
that's so true. Yeah.
When you're looking from the awareness at Kate's having a freak out. It's just being watched. Now, if you go into the story of, I believe I am this, that perpetuates and gets worse and worse and worse. Well, more and more and stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
So all we're doing is practicing being that awareness, watching. That's why I say just allow this to. And what happens is you're going to clear out. It clears out, and this body becomes lighter and lighter. Stays here. What I mean by lighter and lighter is, we noticed, especially when you were in very high panic or anxiety, this body felt very dense and contracted. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, very much. Yeah.
So the more that we allow that energy to flow out of us, yeah, sometimes it can, you know, be difficult to do or whatever. The more that we do that, the more you clear in this body and it becomes lighter. It'll still be here. Kate won't go anywhere. You'll still be looking after your children, still have your house to look after and your job and all that. But it will be a different experience. And actually, you said before, it's a bit like living in heaven and hell. Now, heaven and hell is a choice.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Which,
that's true.
We could go into that it's been sort of misconstrued in the churches and stuff like that. But there's that choice. Yeah. Am I focused on heaven? Am I focused on hell? Right? Because when you're in that awareness, not in the awareness, when you're aware of awareness, it's heavenly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very much. Yeah. Yeah.
The other side of it, where you're consumed in this story of this body, is not, it's hell. let's make no bones about it. Yeah. So we're just practicing that. We're just practicing it. When it feels like it's lost, it's not. But we're all right. We're all right because we're going through a process. Yeah.
Yes. And that what you said before was so helpful about it's just where you're focusing, because I noticed, like, especially the other day when the ego did seem to be right there at the forefront, my immediate thought was I need to watch this, and I couldn't because you can't force it. And I was thinking, okay, I can't force it. And then all of a sudden I was watching it and I was like, by not forcing it, it was there all on its own, or I saw it all on its own.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wow, okay. And then I was there and I was like, how? And then I remember even thinking, how was I there 5 minutes ago? How was I there? And now, how did he end up back there? Because now I'm here. You can't imagine you'd be back there again. That's why I was saying about Jekyll and Hyde, because that was the only way I could think to describe it. It's like you say heaven and hell, it's either one place or the other. But now you said about the focusing, that makes complete sense. So thank you for that, because you do explain things so really well. Because I suppose with this, as things do like unravel of their own accord, a lot of questions do come up, and a lot of things that you think, hang on a minute, what is that? I'm imagining that. How did that happen? So it does give you a lot to question and a lot to think about as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
But can you,
amazing.
Are you seeing that, although it's not, it's not nice at times, that it's happening? Do you know what I mean? You're becoming more sort of aware. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, very much. And I do wonder whether that's, I think so, definitely, because even the other day with and this is another thing, this was a bit of a kind of seeing moment for me as well, because there was a little bit of doubt coming in, and as soon as I was thinking about trust, I thought, well, trust, you've known this all your life. And I got complete goosebumps with that, because I was like, yes, I've always known this from being a kid, but it's got buried under all these layers. And there was just this complete 100% knowing and trusting. And I can't describe where that came from. It just came in. And at the time I was like, without a doubt, I definitely trust this. Without a doubt, I know I would, if I had £1 million, I would put my £1 million on this. And that came in on its own as well, but also took me back to being a child. And I was like, wow, I must have had a lot of awareness as a child and didn't even know it. And then it got covered up along the way with things that happened. But I was like, wow, as a child, I was really on it as a child, and I didn't know.
know I mean? See, I was exactly the same, and I went through a little bit of a thing where, when things got a bit pear-shaped for me, right, with the anxiety and the fear and everything felt like I was confused and covered up and all that. I was annoyed, because I thought, if someone had told me that was normal as a kid and that was right, my life would have been different. But actually, everything happens as it's meant to, because if that had happened, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. Do you know what I mean? I had to go through that really crappy, awful times, and everything that's connected to so much of the awakening path, in order to understand what others go through. and actually those that weren't aware of the awareness like we were as kids, and cannot see the woods for the trees and never have seen the woods for the trees, can come through this because of this, the guidance that I can bring through. Anyone can get there, but
yes, I think like they say, it's as if sometimes it helps you along, it helps you to see more and understand more by going through that, I think.
Of course. But it's literally it's the greatest gift that's always been here.
Amazing. Poof, blow my mind again.
Mind blown.
Oof, there it goes, it's gone.
Oh, brilliant.
But it's maybe, I suppose this is just part of the learning journey for me, isn't it? I understand it's not going to be completely moonlight and roses and 100% happy all the time. It is going to be a bit of a roller coaster, but obviously that is the way it goes. That is the way the path goes.
It is, and it's being okay with that. And knowing if you try and force it, it's just fruitless. Absolutely fruitless. So there's no point. In fact, it's quite a lazy journey, because let's not do too much. Right. I find now in general, like with things, if I start, like obviously like something will come up at work and I think, oh, that might be an issue, that might be a problem, but I'm thinking, like in the past I'd have pondered over it and pulled it apart and worried about it and everything, but now I'm just like, right, hang on, step back and it'll just land, and then I'll think, oh yeah, I'll do that, and it'll just land on its own. And also you might think to yourself, I'm never going to get this, it's never going to land. I've had enough, I've had all my insights that I'm ever going to get, and the next minute you get another one. And they just come out of nowhere, like that one only the other day about, hang on a minute, I was like this as a kid, and I've just seen it now because it was the feeling and it felt so familiar. And I was like, oh my word, I remember as a kid just being so happy and not knowing why, for nothing, just go outside in the fresh air for absolute no reason, and feeling like you didn't have a care in the world and everything was amazing. And spot on.
Amazing.
Brilliant. So is there anything else? Is there anything else before we
I think a lot of it was the roller coaster, but as well, I think what I have become more aware is that when the ego will throw things at me, it is all about either a fear of the body or the mind, and I'm recognising that more as well. It's either a fear of something happening body-wise or another symptom coming in, because they were all very much to do with the body. So I think at the moment I'm becoming more aware that the ego won't just throw thoughts at me, it'll sometimes try and throw some bodily symptoms or worry about bodily symptoms at me. And I think, well, that's body and mind again. It's the same things.
And again, so if that comes up, it's wanting to be seen. It's time to be seen. Time to be seen as the BS that it is. Because
it is, isn't it, really? It is absolutely just.
It is. And that's not to dismiss it, because it is, it can be truly awful, but when you see through it, you realize it's just illusion. It really is. I mean, I get people on the page that go, well, what's the point of all this writing, because it's just an illusion. But how is that going to help anyone unless they see it themselves and go through a process? I had somebody the other day
it's just like, see my face with that, I'm like, what?
Well, you know what I mean, like we can see that it's an illusion, but how uncompassionate and unhelpful is it for me to go on the group and go, actually everything's just an illusion, so see ya.
Drop the mic.